I tell you what, I don't know how I can possibly try to do this the same way, but my first Daytona 500 will definitely be one that I'll always remember for many reasons. Let y'all know some of the background information on this show. Ordinarily, the way Danny B Needs a Minute works is I keep a close eye on all of the storylines that happened during the week, everything that happened from the race weekend, all that. I'm always taking screenshots of stuff on my phone so I can go back and tell y'all about it. But this one's just a little bit different because I think this one's really just focused on one story, and that's sadly, what happened to Ryan Newman. This is definitely one of those episodes that I was hoping I'd never really have to make. I never really like to talk about these kind of things. It's always, sad having to think, talk about the dangers of the sport we love. It's a fact that, this could happen at any time to anybody. And or to happen to someone like Ryan Newman, who, probably for a lot of people who watch this show, grew up. Ryan Newman's a big part of your childhood. You watched him racing on the track. You've seen him survive some crazy crashes before, too. I mean, ones that come to mind is 2009 Talladega, 2003 Daytona 500. I mean, wrecks like that were, crazy. I think he just got up and walked away, and then what happened Monday night was just terrible, and it's even worse to see it in person. But going into this weekend, I was scared that, the worst news I'd have to give about Ryan Newman was just the fact that him and his wife were divorcing, but this is unfortunately way worse than I originally expected to have to give. The positive we can take away, though, after this is the fact that he is alive. And what they've told us is that he is in serious condition with non-life-threatening injuries. That's great. He's alive. That could mean a lot of things, though. I'm not here to speculate. I'm just here to say that, Newman, I'm rooting for you. I hope you make a full recovery. I don't know how long it'll take. I also, thing in my mind, I may have watched Ryan Newman's final NASCAR race. I'm sure he's been racing since 2002. Same year Jimmy Johnson came in. Jimmy's planning to retire after this year. I may have watched Ryan Newman's last NASCAR race, and that's a realistic possibility. But if that was Ryan Newman's last race, then I gotta say this. Heck yeah, Newman, you were racing for your second Daytona 500 win, and I thought you had it coming through turn 3. So, a driver like that will give it all for the win, and that's an A+ effort in my books. But, gosh, it's so many emotions was going through me that night. It's like, should have been a huge night for the sport, because Denny Hamlin got his third Daytona 500 win. First driver to do that since Jeff Gordon. And then he's the first driver to win 2 Daytona 500s in a row since Sterling Marlin did it in the 90s. So this was a big thing for the sport. And then we had President Trump in attendance on Sunday to start everything. So, gosh, it's one of those things that it's hard to believe it happened. But now all you can do is just pray that everything is okay. And then now there's the realistic question we got to look at now. The 6 team has full funding for the 2020 season. Ryan Newman did a great job last year of getting that 6 team back into the playoffs, and likewise it attracted a lot of sponsorship to the team. Oscar Mayer seems to be full behind him. They got in Castrol. They got a lot of people behind that team, and that team's got to go racing. It's just like Richard Childress Racing in 2001. They renumbered the car, and they got Kevin Harvick to drive it. Well, that 6 team should go out and do as good as they can, hopefully win a race for Ryan Newman. I don't know who they'll get to drive. I can speculate for hours, but, realistically, David Ragan seems to be the guy that keeps popping up in my mind. I think he might be the right guy for the job. He did a great job in the Front Row Motorsports Rick Ware Racing number 36 car. Got 4th. He's 4th in the standings now. The 6 team are good in the owner's standings because of how Newman did for him. So, realistically, for both parties, if David Ragan took over, hopefully keep that number 6 team still good this year. But unfortunately, that's the part of racing you hate to talk about, is that you do have to go on. You have to keep racing. And I think it's what Newman would want. Newman would want his team, he would want his guys to keep competing. You know, he'd want to see them win. You know, he's done a great job of that car, in my opinion. Granted, it's so funny to think about this. This was the third NASCAR YouTuber meetup that we've done where we all went to watch a race together. The first one we did was the Bristol night racing. The emotions were not the best of Newman. We were all kind of upset at the move he had done with Matt DiBenedetto. Nothing really made us mad at Homestead with him. And in this, we was all just, we're all just all behind him now. And we want to see him make a full recovery. We don't know if he'll race again, but I hope he does. I would love to see him not be done after this. I'm sure everyone would. But this is just one of those things where you're just like not sure what to say, because I mean, what do you say? What are you supposed to say? Like, I don't know. But with that being said, though, let's talk about just a little bit of the other things that happened. The Xfinity race was a great one to watch. Got to see Noah Gragson win his first race. Me and my wife would call ourselves junior motorsports fans in the Xfinity series. We want to see Noah Gragson do well. I've kind of liked Gragson since he was in the 18 truck. And realistically, I think this is probably going to be a diecast that me and her will purchase and add to our collection. I always have a soft spot in my heart for Bass Pro Shops. I like junior motorsports. I like the car. So I'll be happy to get that one. Oh, and then there's the truck race. Wow. Grant Enfinger won it, but man, my heart was on Jordan Anderson. We've had Jordan Anderson as a guest on our podcast before. He's done work with my buddy Eric Estep. He's a supporter of this online community. I know he wants to see everyone on here doing great things. We all want to see him doing great things. Anyone who supports us, I will support them. Gosh, I was so pulling for him, and I thought he had it. It's one of those things that if you could go back and redo anything, that'd be one of them, but probably would have called a caution when Chase, had his thing, but at the same time, you can't change the past, and I know that, and I'll never pretend like we can. We can take lessons from this and apply it to the future. I'm sure that Newman's car and probably LaJoie's car will be taken to NASCAR's R&D Center to find out what may have failed and what went wrong. But that's the thing. When Dale died in 2001, NASCAR did a lot to learn from what happened, and they made a lot of safety improvements. And I trust NASCAR, I trust the process to continue to make this sport safe. And even though Newman may be in still bad condition, I will say this. What happened in 2001 has still resulted in no drivers in the top 3 series losing their life at a race. This is probably the scariest situation we've seen since then. Some other things have come up. We saw situations with Eric Almirola, with Denny Hamlin in 2013, with Kyle Busch in 2015, but this was the closest that I think we've ever come to seeing it happen again, but I'm just so relieved that it didn't. With that being said, though, I think that's going to be it for my minute that I needed. And I think I heard Eric Estep say it best. It's tough to talk about these things, but sometimes just having this platform to talk to those who will listen to me talk about NASCAR is probably the best therapy that we can have. I hope that I can come back next time on Danny B Needs a Minute with some happier stuff to talk about. But until then, I will see you next time, and we'll come back probably later this week, talk about some of the other news that's happened this week. Until then, see you next time. Bye, guys.